Greetings, friends, fans, subscribers, anyone stumbling across this YouTube channel. What's going on? Where have I been? I wanted to throw up a video to kind of get back in the game and tell you guys what I've been up to and why I have been absent from any kind of social media and not bringing content, videos, and music for the past month. So let's dive in. So where have I been? As a blogger, as a video blogger, as someone who wants to put out content, aspires to be proficient in that way, I must admit I have been a bit short and not quite coming out with the content that I know I can and should be, and I'm going to tell you right now why that is. This video is going to be one of the probably the most vulnerable and authentic and transparent videos that I have made ever. So I'm going to start out by saying the first 3 weeks of this month were kind of hellish for me. I went through a really deep depression. Now this happens to me about once, maybe twice a year. In recent years, it's really been only more like once, so it has been getting better. I've had depression since my early 20s or so, but when it does hit, it hits, and it is bad, and it sticks around. First, if you don't have depression, try to imagine like you feel sick, like really, really bad. Maybe not so much physically, but just like your whole body just feels tired, and you just don't want to do anything. You just want to stay in bed, or you don't want to do the dishes. You don't want to do anything that you planned on doing that day, and that kind of takes you over. And that's what it feels like, I guess, is my best way to describe it to someone who's not familiar with depression. If you are familiar with depression, I won't need to explain it to you because you already know. So for me, this feeling, this really intense feeling, it stuck around. And what I mean is, like, when I thought that it was just leaving, it would come back. So most mornings was really hard for me to get out of bed. The mornings that I did feel better, it would creep on a little. It would creep on later in the day, and then by the end of the day, I'd be back down. So it was really hard to predict, but I was more or less immobilized for 3 weeks for the first part of this month. And I am also going to be really forthright about this next thing, which is that I lost my job. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not saying this. Also, I'm not saying this for you to have pity or be like, oh, I just want to tell you what's been going on with me. I had some, let's just say, performance issues at my last job, and I won't go into too many details, but I'll just suffice it to say that the performance issues I had, they were related to depression, and they didn't get better, even though I had said they would, and I ended up losing the job. So, said and done now. I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm not going to spend too much time boo-hooing or regretting the past or beating myself up, and that's actually something that I learned this month and this past week. It was really driven home to be kinder to myself, and to look at the things that I do that may not be so constructive in a more compassionate way. So that's something I've learned, and I'm going to start by not beating myself up about the lost job. That being said, I am job hunting, and I am tight on funds right now. That is a polite way of saying it. A more accurate way of saying it would be I'm broke, and it is what it is. So I'm broke in Los Angeles. I'm one of the probably many musicians or artists that are in this situation, still waiting on unemployment, still kind of sitting here wondering what's going to happen next, and doing what I can to get things rolling. Part of that is making this video blog. The next thing that happened is my sister got married. My sister got married August 22nd, and it was a really great wedding. Many people were there. My father came in from Florida. He's been in Florida with my grandmother, who's 90, gonna turn 95, actually the day before I turned 30. My little brother and his girlfriend were there, and so the family was there. My mother was not there. You may know that my mother passed away last year, last September, about a week after my 29th birthday, and I could feel her spirit at the wedding. And the wedding itself was a really beautiful event. Everything from the ceremony to the party afterwards, there was just like really big feeling of togetherness and fun, laughter, love. I got to play piano at my sister's ceremony. It was just an all-around good experience, and it was great to see everybody. So my sister got married. Luckily for the man she married, he's a really good guy. But he's going to be an environmental lawyer, and he is quite good at hiking, which leads me to the next thing that happened, which is I went on a hike. I booked a cabin out in the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness for a three-day adventure, I guess you could say, in a cabin that was built maybe 100 years ago, with no running water and no electricity, and it was a 4-mile hike out from the trailhead, which itself was southwest of Billings, Montana, which is where my sister got married. So it was way out there. I had never done anything like this before. What compelled me to do this, you might ask? Maybe I'm just a reckless dude. I don't know. I know I am reckless, actually. I've had a history of I don't want to say a history of recklessness, but I've definitely done things without really thinking them through, and kind of like shooting from the hip, because I like to put myself in like extreme circumstances because I feel like that's how I learn the best. So in this case, I put myself in an extreme circumstance. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I had never done a 4-mile hike by myself. I had never lived in a place with no running water, no electricity by myself. So my sister's husband is an avid hiker, actually, and somewhat of an outdoorsman, and he hooked me up with some really good supplies, a boiler, a stove, water filters, things of that nature. And I had some freeze-dried food, I had a sleeping bag, I had the protein bars, the whole 9 yards. I had it all, so I figured I would be good. Long story short, I ended up hiking out. And longer story short, I got lost on the way back. I just lost the trail, so it was like it came up to this big ridge, and there were rocks there, and I actually did have cell phone service there. And as I started my way back down from the ridge, that's when the trail became this dried up creek bed, and then it became just nothing. It was like overgrown weeds and ferns and charred logs, because there had been forest fires there. I think like a couple years back. Turning back when you hike in really like hilly terrain like that where there's no like marked trail is no small thing. You get tired, you get thirsty, and you get dizzy. So I learned really quick what my limits are, and I did not know what to expect. I was thinking worst case scenario, they would send out rangers and helicopters and God knows what, and my dad and my brother my dad and my brother and sister would have to hike out and find me, which may have been even worse than the helicopters. But luckily, and this is not even luck, I don't even believe this is luck, I believe this is more of a, I'm gonna say it, God. I believe this is more of a God thing. I don't talk about God a lot, but this is really, for me, it was a true, I'm gonna call it a God shot, something that doesn't happen every day, but when you do, you know that it's like it's not you, it's something bigger, it's something kind of looking out for you, I guess. And what happened was, right after I was on the phone with my brother, who was coming with my dad to pick me up, I looked up, and there was a man that had just come over the hump. He was riding a mule, and he was like ambling toward me, and I looked at him and I said, howdy, I'm lost. And he said, okay, where are you headed? And I told him I was headed to this cabin. I was actually rescued, to for lack of a better word. So it was a bumpy experience. It was terrifying. I'm not going to do that again without a more experienced guide, without someone that actually knows, exactly how to retrace their steps in case a trail disappears or becomes virtually just not a trail, just a quick side tangent. I find that that experience really relates to like what I'm going through, and it may relate to what you're going through and other people are too, which is where we feel, a lot of times we feel lost, and like we're just not sure where we're going, or like we're not really sure what the next step is, or we're in what we see as kind of a predicament, or like a tough situation. We're like, okay, this is tough. It could be from like a money perspective or a security perspective, and we're just like, oh shit, like how am I gonna get out of this? Knowing that that happened to me, and like having had that experience, I can now use that as a reference, because at any time, the way I look at it anyway, is like any time I feel like things are bad, I'm just trapped and there's no way out, kind of bad, I can just think back to that time when I was in the wilderness in Montana, and I thought that I might not be able to find my way out, and right then a man came riding a mule and led me out. And so that is what can happen to any of us when we are in a tough situation. So I just think that's super, you know, it's kind of a, maybe it's kind of a stretch, like am I reaching? I guess so, but I believe that it is, there's definitely something to that, you know, having faith that it's going to work out, on that the guy on the mule, in a very metaphorical, analogical sense, will show up and take you back to where you need to be. So now I'm back in Los Angeles, safe and sound. Like I said, along with perhaps many other artists, I am broke. I am not sure what is next for me, as far as a job or a source of income. I have leads on jobs. I have I have a couple of piano students, so I'm very grateful for that. What's next for me? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, first of all, if you're watching this video, thank you. That means you are supporting my efforts, and you're interested in my story, and you might actually be benefiting from my own experience and what I have to offer, which has not been much this month, I must admit. But even if you're watching this video, if you're subscribed to my mailing list, if you like my Facebook page, if I know you, if you're in my phone, if your number is in my phone, you are really, really important to me, even if I don't hear from you. Because I need people like you to know that, like, oh my gosh, like there's another person on this journey with me, and I'm not trying to like lead the herd or lead the pack. I'm trying to like walk shoulder to shoulder with you, and I say that because I really have like big plans and big intentions for the rest of this year, 2020. So we're a little more than halfway through the year. My roommate is excited about recording my album, my first full-length debut album of original music that I have been working on since I was like 17. So it's not all the songs I've written since I was 17, but it's like 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 of the best songs, in my opinion, that I want to push out there and play and make sure that you guys hear. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of my favorite songs that I've written of the past 13 years of my life. So this is like kind of a big deal for me.
I'm kind of a big deal.
I've spent a lot of time writing them. I spent a lot of time performing them already, and getting them to be in a state, in a place where we as a group, as a musical group, can record them and make a really kick-ass album. I have a drummer who's played with every type of band and style that you can imagine. His name's Logan Nix. He's fantastic. I have a bass player named Ian Ross, also fantastic, amazing guy, amazing musician. When I had our first rehearsal, I brought in charts, and he didn't even need the charts because he had already memorized the music. He'd already memorized the tracks that I sent him. Just crazy levels of musicianship here, guys. And Which brings me to the Patreon. What is the story with that? I keep saying, oh, I'm going to do a Patreon. When is it? Well, okay, so I started doing the Patreon, like, I think earlier this month, actually, and I tapered off, and I guess one of the reasons is it's just, like, a bigger project than I anticipated, because, like, there's different tiers, and, like, I have to determine, like, exactly what I am able to promise, because for every amount that you guys donate, I actually give you a gift in return, or multiple gifts. So I have to figure out exactly what that's going to be. So just bear with me. I know I keep saying it's coming. It will be here. You'll be able to easily donate to me by subscribing to the Patreon once it is launched. And I swear, I promised you guys I'm going to keep you posted on that. But there is one thing I need from you guys, which is I really, really need your engagement. And by that I mean I just would love you to, every now and then, it doesn't have to be every email I send, it doesn't have to be every video I post, but just drop me a line, shoot me a message, let me know what's going on, or just say, hey, exclamation point. Any kind of thing that just lets me know that you are picking up what I'm laying down, that you're like reading my blogs, watching my videos, listening to my music, checking out my practice vlogs, which I'm going to post another one soon, and just like any indication that you are consuming my content would be amazing. And the reason it's amazing is because that keeps me going. That's the thing that like actually gets me out of bed and gets me like making these videos and writing more music and doing more live streams and making a Patreon with free things like music and videos and this and that, like coaching, phone sessions, getting on the telephone, like getting on there's no such thing as a telephone anymore, getting on Zoom, getting on Skype, FaceTime, all these things. Like, I want to talk to you guys. I want to connect with you guys, okay? So please, please, please drop me a line, send me a message, an email, something, so I know that you're out there, that you're listening, and I want to be in touch with you too. So like I'm not always able to like know who's like watching and listening. So if I could, I would just like telepathically know who's watching, and then I'd be able to like reach out to them and be like, hey, thank you so much. Like I literally do this for you guys. I mean, I do it for me too, but it's like a, symbiotic relationship, two-way street. So I think I've talked way too much already. It's been 20 minutes. This is longer than normal. I wanted to make a video that was raw, that, kind of really got to the quick of what's going on with me, and that's what's going on. So, pre-production for the first full-length album, Patreon on its way, I want to say in let's say 2 weeks from today. And today's August 28th, 2020. Please drop me a line. Let me know that you're enjoying my content. Let me know if you want more content, what type of content. I'm here. I'm responsive. I want to hear from you. I want to bring content, value, music, get on the phone with you, piano lessons, work with you through whatever challenges that you're going on with right now. I'm not asking openly for donations. I'm just saying that I really want to connect with you. So please drop me a line, and that's all I'm going to say today. Take care, and I can't wait to hear from you. All right, later.